In today's video, we're looking at the AVERAGEIFS function in Excel. AVERAGEIFS calculates the average of a range of values, but only when multiple conditions are met. For example, instead of finding the average of all sales, we might want to find average laptop sales in the West region made by a specific salesperson. AVERAGEIFS lets us combine all of these conditions into a single formula. Let's jump into Excel and see how it works. The syntax of AVERAGEIFS after the open paren is that the average range contains the values you want to average. Criteria range 1 is the first range to test, and then criteria 1 is the first condition that you want to look at. Additional criteria ranges and conditions can be added as needed, split out by commas. Think of it as telling Excel to average these numbers, but only if the following requirements are true. Now let's average sales made by Sarah in the West region. In the cell I've got going here, I'll first start by typing in my average range, which is D2 to D11. Then, after a comma, I'll put in my first criteria range. The first thing we're looking for is the products, so I'll type in C2 to C11. Then, after a comma, I'll put laptop in double quotes. Then after another comma, I can put in my second criteria range. In this case, we're looking at the region, so I'll do B2 to B11, and then after a comma, again in double quotes, I'll put in West. When I then hit the close paren and enter, we'll see that it has now made the averages of all of the things that match both of those criteria. Now let's average sales made by Sarah in the West region. So I'll wipe out this, and then in the cell below, I'll put equals AVERAGEIFS and an open paren. First, I have to put in my sales numbers for what I want it to average of D2 to D11. Then after a comma, I'll start putting in my criteria. So first is the list of salespeople, A2 to A13, and then after a comma, Sarah in double quotes. Then for my second set of criteria, I'll then put in the region list, so B2 to B11, and then after a comma, I'll then put West in double quotes. And now, when I close out this, it will give me the averages for all of Sarah's sales in the West region. Hard coding values works, but as with all formulas in Excel, using cell references is an easier way of working with formulas. I'll start by putting here in column B, West, and then over in the next cell, I'll put laptops. Now, I can go into the formula in column D, wipe that out, and I'll start to type in equals AVERAGEIFS, open paren. Again, I'll start with my average range of D2 to D11, and then my criteria range, which will still be C2 to C11. Now, instead of hard coding in laptop, I'll just reference cell C13. Then I'll put in my next criteria for B2 to B11, and instead of hard coding West, I'll reference cell B13. Now when I hit enter, you'll see it averages the West laptops. I can then easily go into this column in B13 and change this to East, and it will immediately update the totals. AVERAGEIFS can also use comparison operators. Let's find the average sales where sales are greater than 1,000. In this cell here, I'll enter equals AVERAGEIFS and an open paren. Then I'll enter my average range, which will be D2 to D11 as always. Then in the criteria, I'm going to enter column D again. Then for my criteria, I'm going to, in double quotes, enter greater than 1,000. When I then close all this out, you'll notice that Excel has now given me the average sales, but only for lines where the total sales were greater than 1,000. And that is the AVERAGEIFS formula in Excel. AVERAGEIFS is one of Excel's most useful reporting functions because it allows you to calculate meaningful averages without needing filters or pivot tables. Thank you for watching, and if you found this video useful, please like it and subscribe to the channel for more Excel tutorials.